Before we begin, please know that some episodes include language that may be sensitive for some people. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Birth Portal. My name is Connie. Today's true story is about a woman I'll call Frida, having her first baby. She was feeling so uncomfortable by her due date, and she desperately wanted to go into labor by 1 week past her due date, or 41 weeks gestational age. First-time mums will often spontaneously go into labor around 9 days past their due date, which is 41 weeks and 2 days. One of the things that can be helpful to soften and thin the cervix in preparation for labor is to have intercourse with ejaculation, which bathes the cervix with a hormone found in sperm called prostaglandin. Women will also release that hormone when their cervix is stimulated through intercourse or a stretch and sweep. Women who are being induced but have a thick cervix can be given this hormone through a gel or other means the day before the induction with the hormone oxytocin or pitocin, the synthetic form. Frida was having intercourse daily and reported feeling very crampy afterwards for a couple of hours. The cramping is a good sign the body is utilizing the hormone and ripening the cervix. Sure enough, Frida's labor started at 41 weeks and 2 days gestational age, waking her up around 6 a.m. Then by 7 a.m., she felt a sudden strong gush when going to the bathroom, and the fluid was clear. As well, her GBS swab was negative, so she could stay at home and wait for the contractions to get stronger and closer together. GBS stands for Group B streptococci. It's a bacteria that is found in our gut and at times found growing in our vaginas or rectums. It is not an infection, and we only know if it's there by doing a swab that is sent to the lab for identification. Most babies that are exposed to this bacteria have a healthy immune system, and therefore it's not a concern. However, if the baby's immune system is compromised in some way and the baby is exposed to that bacteria, it can then lead to an infection. In Ontario, the recommendation is for women to do a vaginal rectal swab somewhere between 35 and 37 weeks gestational age. And for those who swab positive for the GBS bacteria, they are given IV antibiotics at intervals in labor. The antibiotics within about 4 hours have crossed from mom to the baby through the placenta. These babies that are now exposed through the vagina and rectum are protected from developing early onset GBS infection. Early onset infections develop within the first week after birth. Late onset infections develop after the first week and can be transmitted to the baby through hands that have not been properly washed by someone that has the bacteria present in their genitals or rectum. I checked in every few hours to see how Frida was coping, ensuring she was eating and drinking and voiding regularly. By dinner time, she was not so happy, and the contractions were every 3 to 4 minutes. We met at the hospital at 6 o'clock in the evening, and Frida was already 7 centimeters dilated, but unfortunately having back pain with the contractions. I suggested she try laboring in the tub, which she loved. Frida was kneeling on all fours, wiggling her hips through each contraction. I showed her sister and husband how to squeeze her hips or push on the sacrum during a contraction to help alleviate the back pain somewhat. Frida didn't last long in the tub when her husband Frank said, "Please get her an epidural. She said she can't do this anymore." So we drained the tub and made our way to the room to start an IV, to bolus a half a liter of fluid before getting the epidural. Epidurals can cause the blood pressure to drop, which can impact the baby negatively. The extra fluid in the vascular system should avoid the blood pressure drop. Frida is standing at the side of the bed, leaning over, swinging her hips from side to side, and cries out, "It's not helping anymore." I say the anesthetist is on their way now, so let's get you in position, sitting on the side of the bed. Once in this position, she says, She feels so much pressure down there. So I quickly check her cervix, and unfortunately, she's still 7 centimeters, but the baby's head is moving lower and molding. A baby's skull is not a solid bone yet to allow it to mold to get through the woman's pelvis. Many babies' heads are quite misshapen at birth due to their position in the woman's pelvis as they come down through the birth canal, but the molding will resolve not long after the birth. About an hour after her epidural is in, Frida says she has no pain, but there's even more rectal pressure. I lift the bed sheet and I see lots of bloody show and check her cervix again. Wow, Frida, there's only a tiny little lip of cervix. So on the next contraction, give me a good push and I'll see if I can push the cervix over the baby's head. Frida gives a half-hearted push and the baby's head moves down enough to move the cervix out of the way. But the head is still quite high. And I say, maybe you should wait a bit to push to save your energy for when the head is lower. Frida looked at her husband as the next contraction started and pushed with all her might and proved me wrong. Wow, Frida, you are incredible. You brought the baby's head down so low I can see dark hair. Frida's sister suddenly says, I want to catch the baby. And to Frida's surprise, her husband says, go for it. Okay then, go wash your hands and put on these gloves, I say. She was feeling a bit squeamish earlier on and said she can't stand the thought of seeing blood. I say to her, there's no blood now, but there will be. And I reassure her that we will catch the baby together and she can step away at any time if she feels the need to. I'm paying close attention to the interaction between the sisters, and I'm aware that this is the first for both. As Frida continues pushing, I can feel her sister's elation. She looks at Frank, and he's laughing and crying, looking into his sister-in-law's eyes, who mouth the words, "Oh my God, the head's almost out." The baby's head was so molded, it just kept coming out more and more until we finally saw the baby's eyes, and then the nose, and then a pause. We could see the effects of the vaginal squeeze, with the amniotic fluid draining from the nose and mouth. "Give me another push to get the chin out, Frida." She gives a little push and the chin is out. And she is quickly hit with another contraction, and the baby comes easily out in a corkscrew manner. Dad says, crying, "Frida, it's a boy!" and goes to the head of the bed as we place the baby on her belly. The sister is crying, Mom is crying, everyone is in total bliss. Auntie will no doubt have a special bond with this child. Thank you for joining me for another episode of The Birth Portal.